Welcome, welcome. So we'll go ahead and get started. And let me share my screen with y'all so you can see my presentation. I'm not the best at staying with slides, so I'll do my very, very best. So I am Katherine Laine. I'm so excited to be here. I am the creator of the course that you're about to go through, the Pantry Makeover. And if you are going to follow this sequence up with the inflammation swap, then I will see you in there as well. And so I just want to take a few minutes to introduce myself, let y'all know about my health journey, as well as my education and my career journey. I feel like that's very important to where we are today, and just why I'm even qualified to be here to talk to you guys about these topics today. So I am a nutritionist. I have a master's in functional medicine and nutrition from the University of the Western States in Portland, Oregon. And it is a chiropractic college. It was such a great experience. And I often get asked, what is functional medicine? And functional medicine is really looking at the root cause of why we have many of the health issues we have today, instead of just accepting them, really asking why they have developed and why they're here, and how to use food and nutrition as a platform to help us manage, mitigate, and possibly no longer have to deal with many of those issues that we have today. And so it's very much an old school way of doing things, coming back to the real world today. And so I am a board certified nutritionist, and I've been in the industry for almost 8 years. And I've had the opportunity to work with some incredible doctors, nutritionists, across the board, just in so many of the companies that many of y'all have heard about today. If you've been in the industry, or even have taken supplements, you have probably taken many of the supplements of the companies that I've worked for and been trained by. And so that is also a very powerful tool that I have brought to many of my courses and to my clients, is really understanding manufacturing and how supplements work, finding clean ones, and then having the ability to be a sales rep or even a product specialist for many of these companies. I had the opportunity to spend a ton of time in grocery stores. And so it's really given me an arsenal of knowledge, and just a very diverse amount of knowledge, understanding, when people would come in and ask questions and look for information, just really looking at quality food and quality supplements, and really talking to them as a nutritionist and on that health level, really got to see just this really neat combination that has caused a lot of the courses that I have wrote today, because it is something that we're missing. It's something we're looking for. And I would see people come in week after week from all the stores I would see in the Southwest region, and customers would come in and they would visit with, the nutritionist there, or the supplement guru that they had on staff there. And they would take that information and they would go home and they would apply it, and they would see change, and they would start to grow, and they would come back every week looking for more knowledge. And it's definitely something that we're all seeking. And it was an honor to be able to be in the stores learning from those people. They taught me as much as I could teach them many, many times. And so I do love to travel. Some hobbies. I love to travel. It's without a doubt my first love. I have seen the world. I've been to nearly 16 countries, and I would love to double that and triple that in the years to come. It is such it's been a remarkable gift that I've been able to travel the world as much as I've been able to in the past. And from that came photography. I learned to document my journeys, and I learned how to, I learned a ton about photography, and it was a beautiful skill and a beautiful trait. But now I have become a food photographer, and I'm creating cookbooks and guides and things like that I wanted beautiful pictures for. And so it kind of, melded those two loves, and it's become way more than just a passion, or I guess a hobby. It's definitely a passion now. So a little bit about my story. I wasn't a nutritionist forever, clearly, and who studied food allergies and became a master at replacing ingredients. That is definitely what I am. I am a nutritionist who studied food allergies for years, and I am a master of replacing ingredients, because you guys, I believe there are some things we just cannot live without, and I'm on the hunt to find those things. And so why many of y'all are here. And so I struggled with you. And I want you to know that is, I didn't just show up to the game. I have lived this with you. And that's what brought me to the game. I struggled with GI health and skin issues and endometriosis and anxiety and migraines. And I had no idea that my food quality, those hidden ingredients, had a direct relationship on how I felt and why I struggled with many of these issues that I struggled with. And then how those issues built on each other. Why maybe my anxiety was so bad was because my GI tract was so bad. Or could it be because my GI tract was so bad it caused my, there's chicken or the egg, which one was it first? And you definitely start to learn that many of these issues are all indicative of each other. And so that's when I really started learning about what was in my food. And, I really had no idea what to do. I wasn't getting better. I'd gone to doctors, in and out. Y'all know the whole spiel. I had two choices, and luckily I had an incredible family. My parents were on board with me 100% through all of this, because this was nearly 15 years ago when I started this journey. I knew I had two choices. We either stayed the same and lived with all the same problems, the sleep apnea, the anxiety, the migraines, the endometriosis, all of the hormonal problems, all the things that I struggled with, or I was going to find a solution, and I was going to find one at all cost. And I feel like that's where we all have to get to. Pain is a huge innovator. And when we struggle and we are in pain, we are here to find a solution at all costs. And that's when I really started digging and asking why. Why do these problems happen? I had to discover it for myself. There wasn't a ton of information in the market like there is today. You couldn't go to the doctor and even really get a diagnosis for anything. Like, they didn't know what IBS was at the time, And so I went on a food elimination journey. I scaled it back to the basics. And then I learned what foods I could eat and what foods I had to avoid. I learned and this is when I learned to master the grocery store. This is when I started learning to read ingredients. I was very young, and I was 17, but that was young for somebody who's trying to understand their diet. How many 17-year-olds do you know that are in there reading food ingredients, and are even having parents come in and help you with that? I remember when I'd always had soy milk. I could never have dairy growing up. My parents would never let me have it, and thankfully they wouldn't, because it was very much a trigger for me. And I always had to have soy at the time. And I remember when rice milk came out and they had chocolate rice milk, I promise y'all, we were like toasting rice chocolate milk in the kitchen. Like, we were so excited for something new, because back then, you guys, food was terrible that was healthy. It's not like what we have today, So I had to learn to master the grocery store, and we still have to learn to master the grocery store, because 80% of the stuff that's in the store we do not need to consume. And I learned how to create recipes and how to find the foods that I love and make them even better, make them come to life. And so I realized, the hardest part was I was in this alone. There wasn't a ton of help. There wasn't a ton of doctors out there. And I slowly started seeking it out, and we found some incredible nutritionists that changed our lives. And so, I really so what is some of this? I learned, see, I'm telling you, I'm terrible at slides. How do I get, those harmful foods out of my diet? I had to learn that list. And so moving forward. So I understand. I completely understand speaking Greek. I felt like I was in the dark. I'd listen to, I'd read books and listen to, what there were podcasts back then. And as I started growing, into this, I know many of y'all feel like it's speaking Greek. You feel like you're in the dark. You're like, what are they saying to me? I don't even know what that supplement is, and you want me to go buy it, and I'm supposed to avoid what ingredient? And I don't even know, what are nightshades, or, what is, it was very interesting how you didn't even know what many of that was, and you felt like you were in the dark. So who do you call? Who do you trust? Nothing was working, and I had to find what was right for me. And I think that's what we often miss is, we follow what everybody else is doing. And sometimes you have to just scale it back and say, what foods serve me, what supplements serve me, what processes serve me, and what doesn't. And find what's really for you. And that is something that I have become a master at doing for my clients, is taking them on a journey. And we take everything that is everybody else is doing, and we can evaluate it, and we might be able to pull some good things out of it. That is the beauty of all innovation. But for the most part, we find what works for them. And that's powerful. So you guys, again, we have the power to take back our health. And my GI was a mess. My nails were brittle. My allergies were out of control. I was absolutely facing a war with autoimmune, and anxiety and depression won all the time. And I had no answers. But I want you to know is that you do have control. 77% of inflammatory reactions are caused by factors that we can control. So there are those situations when you hear about somebody who has to have a liver transplant that, they lived a healthy life, and you're like, why did that happen? That's out of their control. Type 1 diabetes, that's out of their control. There are many, many things that pop up in our lives that are out of our control, but 77% of inflammatory reactions, and all of these things I listed above, were inflammatory reactions. Something I was eating or was stored in my body that needed to go. Chemicals, preservatives, medications, things that have been pumped in our body that needed to go. My body was reacting to it, and that is an inflammatory reaction. Our environmental triggers, the toxins in our air, the toxins in our water, the toxins in our makeup and our mascara. These things do have an inflammatory response to your body. And I had to learn what of those I needed to remove. And I want to give that to you as a little nugget of power that you do have control. And that's why we're going on this journey together, is to start making swaps to give you that control. So knowledge is power. No more shooting in the dark. So that's the one thing I say, like, let's use strategy. And that's how we find out what we struggle with. So we're all here for real information. I don't do yo-yo diets or fads. I talk, real strategy. So let's get to it. So the first step is you cannot change. This is the one thing I found, and the one thing I do time and time again with my clients. You cannot make changes to your health and your lifestyle unless you know what and why you're changing, right? So what are your food sensitivities? You're going to learn to ask questions like why and when and what happened. And you will feel like you're a 30-year-old when you get done. Have y'all ever been around a toddler that like chases you around? And it's like, why is that? Why is that? Why is that? That is how you will go on this journey. Why? What am I looking for? What is that? All the time. What are your food sensitivities? What foods cause the inflammation triggers in your body, your back pain, your autoimmune diseases, your GI problems? What foods are causing those sensitivities or those reactions? What chemicals are you consuming? What are you storing your food in? Like, these are questions we have to ask. What are your health concerns? What are things that you're trying to overcome? Why are those things here? Why? Look deeper. What is your struggle? What are you trying to overcome? And look at your past. This was powerful for me, okay? What is your past? How was your parents' health and your grandparents' health? What things did they struggle with? What life did they lead? What did they grow up chasing? Crop dusters. Did you grow up chasing crop dusters? Where are those chemicals in your body? They don't just flush out and disappear without help, right? What are they leaving behind? What is the residual? What is your past? I went to my parents and I asked them, what did I struggle with when I was a kid? And we all started talking, and I had ear infections all the time, could never get rid of them. My mom says, for the first 4 years of your life, you lived on antibiotics. Well, I didn't stand a fighting chance when it came to my GI if the first 4 years of my life I was on antibiotics. Well, did you give me probiotics? Well, no, we really didn't know much about that until you were way older. Okay. Now I ask you to do these questions with your family in love. Do not ever get mad at people for making choices they didn't know better, right? Like, this is a time for you to discover, but maybe kind of help them open doors too. So go with it in love and just say, well, what happened? What were my favorite foods? What foods triggers did I have? Did you notice that I was sick all the time? What kind of sickness did I have? How did you treat me? Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in a place that maybe has a high toxic load in the water, or maybe around, a power plant, or a house that had power lines by it all the time? Ask questions about where you grew up and see if those things caused problems. If you were sick, you need to know why, because that is your weakness. Mine has always been upper respiratory and sinus infections. Well, that started when I was a kid. It's always been my weakness. So I know that those are the areas I need to struggle, or I need to strengthen. It is the absolute same way when we talk about your food and your sensitivities. The areas that you are the weakest are the areas that we need to strengthen the most, right? Know your weakest organ. Know where you are strong and weak. And if you're weak in your GI tract, maybe you only have one bowel movement a day, or every other day, or every 3 days. That is your weakness. That is where we have to start. And so that is what functional medicine is. And that is looking really, really deep and asking, okay, if we only have 3 bowel movements a day, we needed to get it to 1, or 3 a week. We needed to get it to 1 a day. And then we need to get it to 3 a day. And we're going to slowly see many of those issues that you have go away, because that is where your weakness is. And I can say that with conviction, because that is where my weakness was. As soon as I straightened out my GI tract, I didn't get sick anymore. My migraines went away, because there's a huge power in what I just told you. So take that knowledge and use it. Okay. Knowledge is power. So where am I today? I know what foods I can have. I know which foods make me feel good. I know what foods I can't have ever again. And I also learned my limits. And that's the one thing that's incredible about your body, is when you get better and you find that happy balance, it takes some time to get there. But when you get there, you'll be able to have some freedoms. So yes, I get to every once in a while go to a Mexican restaurant and have corn chips and queso. Now, do I feel fantastic afterwards? No. Do I do this often? No, because I can't have corn or queso, cheese. And so, but every once in a while, because I do really, really good the rest of the time, I get those treats, right? But the reality is when you start to feel really good and you get over a lot of the symptoms and the issues that you struggle with for your entire life, like I said, pain is an incredible innovator. You really don't want to mess it up. And that's kind of where I reside a lot. Sometimes I'm like, I just don't really want that, even though it's probably good, because I don't want to feel that bad. Once you feel and you get control and you feel really, really good, you don't want to mess it up. And a lot of that's mindset too, right? So I think this was the very first time I launched the Pantry Makeover course for Little Rock. I was on the news. Those are some of my friends and the news anchor. And we had a great time launching that for Little Rock and just really bringing a lot of this information to light. So, since then, since I've created the Pantry Makeover, since I've gone through all the struggle of my life, I've figured it out firsthand. I've spent hours in grocery stores. I have a practice of helping, a health practice, and helping people and families overcome food allergies. And I've helped hundreds of people overcome these issues, literally teaching them how to feed their family like I would feed mine, like a nutritionist would feed theirs, mastering reading labels and finding the best foods for their life, regaining their health and finding their perfect diet. And I say that as kind of a coin word, finding their perfect diet. If you go through the inflammation swap with me next, we walk you through a 6-week program of finding your perfect diet. And it's literally walking through what foods serve you and which ones don't, which ones and how, and how to identify that, what are your foods triggers. And that is a powerful step, is when you find what works for you and what works for you, removing all the confusion. So over so much confusion in health and wellness, y'all, there's just so much knowledge and of goodness, and then just so much confusion that fills the muck. And so that has always been one of my passions, is definitely, busting myths, talking trends, picking out the good and the bad, and getting rid of the rest. So over the last few years, my clients have bestowed on me some incredible titles like the Supplement Guru, fitting, the Chic Hippie, I'm all about the organic makeup, you guys, and then my favorite, the Magical Unicorn of Replacing Ingredients. And I find that to be such a powerful tool, is because many of us, again, I love certain foods. Like I love ranch dressing. I'm a Southern girl. If you didn't already know by the last 10 minutes of our talk, I am a Southern girl and I love ranch dressing. However, I had to remove all the hidden chemicals that were in the valley, let me tell you, and find something that was clean. And that even sometimes resulted to making my own. But now they have so many great companies out there with clean products that you can almost get away with never making anything yourself if you don't want to. So anyways, those are some of my titles. I have definitely earned those and I'm proud of them. So knowledge is power. We talked about this. I am not going to just give you another course that's a few good tips and send you on your way. We're going to get real. We're going to get down and dirty, if you will. We're going to dig deep, because that's where health happens. That's where change happens, is, when you know more, you'll do more. When you feel better, you'll do more. And, the better you feel, the more you'll do, right? And that is what you always say. And the more you know, the more you'll try to do. And so here we're going to get real. We're going to get deep, because that's really where the answers are. And that's where the truth begins. So I'm excited to get started. I will see you guys inside the Pantry Makeover guide.